Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to my channel, Engelgeist. I am here to do your forecast for the day. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning back, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very, very much. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today is the forecast for Monday, June 1st. We're kicking off the new month on a Monday with a new set of 2 decks that I've not worked with. So this will be interesting to see where this goes after that month of mystical May and all of that heady energy that we saw throughout the month of May, and all of the experiences that we experienced throughout the month of May. Let's allow those to stay in the month of May, and let's reset ourselves to match up with the month of June, the newness of June, and what brings with that, what comes with that energy. Ways you can support the channel. I'm shuffling this deck. It is my first circular deck, so bear with me, guys. Trying to get it nice and shuffled so that I feel like we're getting the information that we need. Ways you can support the channel. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333, you can certainly do so. You can go to patreon.com and find a subscription level that you feel comfortable subscribing at on a monthly basis. Under Engelgeist, just search Engelgeist and you'll find me there. You get the daily forecast a day early. Also, there's other special readings of note that are available over there. And then in my video descriptions, you will see Amazon affiliate links for the decks that I use in any of the videos. If you utilize those affiliate links, I get a percentage of the sale from Amazon and you get a deck. So it's a great way to also support the channel. What else? And booking private readings with me can always be done through messaging me at my Facebook business page. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you like these forecasts, please share them out with your friends. If you do subscribe, please hit the notification bell so that you get notified when I go live for like charm events and how I can help you hours and things like that. And beyond that, let's get into the energy of what's going on. This is a timeless message. I always intend for it to be for the highest good of the greater collective. So this may not resonate with you the first time you watch it, but for those of you that are watching it on this day that's not June 1st, does not necessarily mean that it's not valid information for you. You might actually be in sync with it at the time that you're seeing it. I believe that, through the work of spirit, our own, or those, guides that are around us, they have the capacity to sort of make sure that we get the message when we need it. So don't turn this off just because you hear June 1st or see June 1st in the title. There might be a message in here for you that resonates to whatever may be going on in your life. Okay, so the 2 new decks that we're working with this month, which I'm kind of excited about, are the Accurate AF deck, which is made by an artist out of Australia called PRISM and FLEUR. And this deck is located on Etsy. So I actually looked it up the other day and I don't see it as available. So I'm not sure if they're having trouble printing it with Corona and everything. I'm not sure, but I will link her shop at least so you can find her if you're interested in purchasing this deck. I do not get a percentage of the sale if you use that link, just so you know. I do like to support Etsy's artists and creatives that do tarot work. And this deck was absolutely beautiful to me, so I thought that it deserved to be purchased and explored. The other deck, the Oracle deck that we're using, which was a vote, the Accurate AF was the vote, so my viewers voted for this deck. The other deck that I thought would pair nicely with this was a gift from one of my viewers, Amy Jo. Thank you so very much, Amy Jo. And this is the STARSEED Oracle. This deck is available on Amazon, and I will have an affiliate link in there to purchase it for yourself. It's by Rebecca Campbell with artwork by Danielle Noel. And so it's a gorgeous deck, and I feel like these two both will pair nicely together aesthetically. I also feel like the information we're going to be getting from these decks is going to be kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm going to preface all of this, especially this month, by saying I don't know a whole lot about the STARSEED stuff, so please bear with me with that. I'm willing to learn, though. Okay, so what do we need to know for June 1st? we're looking at that sort of underpinning energy of that King of Wands, which is a very fiery, authoritative, authentic energy. I felt like it was definitely being challenged a little bit by the artwork in yesterday's forecast. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. We are certainly being challenged by what's wanting our attention today in the world. Being mindful of that and making decisions from a place of empowerment and not frustration, anger, or anxiety is key right now, I think. There's plenty of time to contemplate stuff later in this week if these energies stay the same with the cards that I saw yesterday. So let me see. What do we build upon? This round deck is interesting to shuffle. Okay. Oh my God, she's back. Why does the Empress keep visiting us every Monday? She visited us last Monday too. All right, I'm going to say this. The Empress to me, I'll let you guys look at the card. It says centered and abundant. This is the third card of the major arcana, okay? She always represents fertility, abundance, creativity, new ideas, birth. She could represent pregnancy for some of you, right? The idea of pregnancy. And pregnancy to me always kind of falls into this place of being pregnant with ideas, not necessarily just a baby, right? This could be being pregnant with sort of ideas or ready to sort of have a birth or a rebirth in where we stand in the world, how we view ourselves in the world, where we operate from in the world. Last week we saw the Empress and I got this really funny vibe from the card. It really kind of put me off. It was that spiral card. It was coupled with that spiral card from the Mystical Shaman deck. And that spiral card felt like doors were being opened. And what I didn't notice until reflecting back on the week, we had so many major arcanas and all of like the quote unquote bad cards had shown up, like the Death card, the Devil card, the Tower card, all the Hanged Man, all of these cards that you don't want to see. Not that you don't want to see them, but they're the most sort of challenging of the decks, right? But with those challenges come the most learning lessons. And so when I was looking at all of those cards in reflection yesterday, I started to realize that, you know, Amy Cooper came out in the early part of last week with that whole incident in Central Park. And that was definitely a form of white privilege. That was definitely a form of a woman who knew where she stood in society, who knew that if she made a phone call to the police and said a black man was attacking her and used his skin color as a signifier, that would get her, you know, what she wanted, and also put him in danger. That she could switch the tables via someone's skin color. And I felt like when I was looking at that Empress card, and I don't want to get too preachy about this because I tend to not get too politically hot buttoned, but I do have a little bit of a platform here. I am going to share this stuff because I also think being quiet is being complicit. And I think that if we truly want to enact change, we have to look at things as they are. We have to acknowledge things as they are. And even if the acknowledgement makes us feel uncomfortable as, say, white people, we have to acknowledge that. And we have to sort of, the only way that people are going to heal is if we acknowledge where we've taken the liberties of others through just our own privileges, right? Or in acknowledgement of them. Those of you that disagree with me, you certainly can. Those of you that feel like you need to turn me off, you certainly can do so. I'm not trying to incite arguments or fights. It's just how I feel intrinsically, internally. It's what I've looked at. It's part of, I think, the lessons of this planet. It's part of the differences of skin color, sex, socioeconomic status. All of these things present challenges to us that we need to face, look at, adapt, interact with, and how we choose to do so really allows us to evolve, learn, and grow, right? And all of us are at different phases of all of that, right? So we have to factor that all in too. But this Empress to me last week made me feel like she was afraid. This Empress to me does not feel afraid. I feel like she's coming back around. I feel like her energy is here. I feel like there's an opportunity for new birth or new ideas, a new realization of where we fit into our world, how we fit into our world on a more personal level. Some of us might be dealing with ideas of going back out into the world, going back to work, going back to or maybe building businesses, those sort of things. This could even be the idea of being open to reconnection with people. The Empress always sort of represents like a sort of fertility, right? There's an opportunity here for her. I've never really felt fear from the Empress, and last week I definitely felt a weird fear. I felt like doors were being opened that we were unaware of, and that we were realizing that these things were going to be pivotal in sort of changing us. This week, to me, she feels more at peace. I love that her eyes are downcast and closed. She feels more meditative. She feels more nurturing to me with that baby at her breast. There's a lot of power in the Empress. There's a lot of loving, kind energy. If we turn this kind energy to ourselves or to society as a whole, towards what's going around in the world, I think that that is key right now, especially with that underpinning of the Lord of Wands from the last deck. That Ganesh was sort of centered. If you don't remember the imagery, go and watch yesterday's video. He was centered. He was sort of levitating. He is about abundance. He is about luck. He is about good tidings. He is about focusing on what's right and good, familial strength, memory, right? An elephant never forgets is the phrase there. And it was depicted by this sort of Ganesh-like elephant, which makes me think of, we have to remember our past so that we can sort of change our future, is the thought that I'm thinking here. And there is that cloud of smoke that was being blown by that snake around that Lord of Wands. And to me, I felt like that smoke, or those smoke screens that we might be facing this week, are going to challenge us. But they're also going to strengthen us in our actions, in our beliefs, in our choices. And right now, I believe that we are in a pivotal place where we have to decide what to choose. The Empress, to me, feels like she's meditative, she's centered, she's ready to make choices, but hopefully she's ready to do that from a place of love, kindness, nurturing, mothering in a way. Hopefully we are staying centered on not only nurturing ourselves, but those around us in the decisions that we make this week. I love that the King of Wands is underneath this. It's called the Lord of Wands in the other deck. But to me, there's a fiery action. He's one of the most active cards of the pith cards or the court cards. And to me, he gets shit done. So utilizing that sort of spiritual fire, that awareness, and then coupled with the nurturingness or the balance of this Empress above it, is a powerful match, right? Sometimes, that spiral card that happened last week, what makes me think about that, the power of that, is sometimes in indecision or not doing anything, we make a decision. And we don't realize that. And so people should be aware of that as we move through these times that are very challenging. Like I said, I don't usually like to talk about things that are too political hot button. I have my beliefs, you have yours. Just because they may differ doesn't necessarily make you a bad person or me a bad person. The truth is do I need to convince you of my beliefs so that I can understand that they're right within me? No. And I don't need you to believe them for me to understand that what's right for me is okay and right for me, right? So, like last night, I found myself finally posting about George Floyd. For a few days, I was drawing a blank on his name, and part of the reason why I feel like that is because I was so deeply sort of shocked by it all that I just didn't want to look at it. And that's a choice. It made me uncomfortable. It made me sad. It broke my heart. But the truth of the matter is like not speaking up is not necessarily right either. I think making a choice and understanding what we want in this world, or how we want this world to look, or where we want this world to head, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of betterment, evolution, growth, is important. And so I actually chose last night to, acknowledge how wrong I felt that was. How wrong, Amy Cooper's actions were in Central Park. And I know this is a very political post, but it's what's going on in the world, and I think that we're all facing it, we're all looking at it, and it's challenging all of us to grow. Saturn is back in Capricorn. Where do we put our roots down within these situations, guys, so that we can birth who we are and what we feel? That's what the Empress is asking us today. So let's see what the Starseed Oracle has. Let's bring in these Starseeds and see what they're going to share with us today. The weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. All right, so this actually came out in the unboxing, which is interesting. This is the one card that keeps coming out. To me, we don't, if I remember correctly, I think I read the definition of this. This is not about us healing the world. This is about us healing our immediate environment. And allowing the world to sort of do what it needs to do. And this is what I want to say about that. I think that it's important to be clear on how we feel about what's going on in our world and how we want to be in our world. And it's important for us to take a place of authenticity and authority. That would be the Empress. And be willing to birth in new ideas and to nurture ourselves and those around us while we go through our day-to-day life. As we emanate that out into the planet, that sort of love, that nurturing, that grace, we actually perpetuate that, or people pick up on that, and maybe they transform and they're able to bring more grace and love and nurturing to their own world, right? Through the experience of it from us. And as that grows, I feel like that's a very powerful energy that can transform hopefully situations, angers, anxieties, fears, anything that people might be going through right now that are lower vibration and not helping them, all right? I am going to read the definition of the weight of the world just because I feel like doing it. All the definitions in the book are alphabetically here, which is great. So the weight of the world, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after your own well-being before anyone else's, to stop carrying the world's problems on your shoulders, to put your own oxygen mask first. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others, and that's incredible. But the way you've been doing so is likely unsustainable. So if you guys have been finding yourself getting just frustrated, angry at situations, anxiety-ridden, these would be times when you might want to step back. This is why I kept quiet for the first few days. But I had to make a statement for myself just about how I felt it was wrong how that man was treated, you know. We should be further along than this as a race, not even as a race, I mean as like humankind. I really feel like it's 2020. This isn't to say you should switch off the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy, both physically and emotionally. So instead of digesting the news or reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. And at the day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up again the next morning if you so choose. But give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. And then it says the Starseed Soul Inquiry. What are you carrying that isn't even yours? So if we're carrying some of the pain of what's going on in the world right now would be a good time to nurture ourselves. That's the Empress energy, and not necessarily allow it to take over our space or our well-being. The stone for today that we would want to ground in is gratitude, whatever we can find to be grateful for. especially during these times, and what's shifting and changing planetarily would be a great idea. Gratitude always shifts our energy into a place of more peace. It brings us into this Empress energy where she feels more meditative. I love that both of these women have their eyes closed and they are sort of centered within themselves. She is sort of floating and being carried and allowing sort of, the water to hold her and keep her safe. This gratitude, this energy of gratitude sort of can shift and bring change. I've noticed a lot of my friends, it's funny, I'm just going to share this really quickly and then sign off, but a lot of my friends that are sort of the more peaceable sort of left culture, when atrocities like this sort of happen, they really get angry. And I understand why they're angry. Don't get me wrong. But I think that anger, when we react back with anger, I don't necessarily know that solves the problem. I'm going to say that. But I also don't think that, especially with people that have had this sort of experience within this country for a really long time, I don't think that I get to be an authority on how I think that they should handle things, right? So I feel it's much more important, and that's this Way to This World card, to step back and to allow the process to happen, to step back and to allow people to react in ways that maybe don't make sense to me or that don't necessarily isn't how I would react. But further judgment of these people that maybe already feel marginalized, judged, hurt, or whatever doesn't necessarily help the situation, right? And for those of us that are seeking peace, getting riled up and angry, to me, I don't, and inciting like sort of maybe more arguments or more fighting or more energy tossing doesn't necessarily get us closer to peace either. Finding gratitude, remember this underpinning stone for the whole entire week is about enjoy. Like finding the things that we enjoy right now might be key because there's so much going on in the world that is challenging. We looked at a lot of heady energies last week, guys. I don't think that those heady energies and those cards just necessarily disappear because the week has changed. Okay? So keeping that in mind as we move forward, just be graceful with yourself, be nurturing to yourself, pay attention to the things that require your attention right now in your immediate universe, and find gratitude for those things. And maybe let some of the other stuff sort itself out on a global scale. Having that sort of centering in that sort of faith that things are going to work out. And that's just as much for me as it is for any of you. Like sometimes I have a hard time believing that that man is going to pull this one off. Just because, you watch Facebook and it perpetuates all of this sort of fear and drama and, then you see the protests and it's like, oh my God, they shouldn't be protesting like that. Well, who are you to say? And how is that energy of judgment helping anything? Unless you've lived that experience, you don't get to say. It's not your place. To be honest, and I'm just going to say this outright, I feel like some of y'all that have lived more privileged experiences need to shut the fuck up. Myself included. And I'm gay. So I've experienced being put outside of society, but I'm also white. So I've experienced that if I keep my mouth shut, I can blend in and I get certain expectations met just by being white. And that's the truth. And if me saying that to any of my viewers and it bothers them, you may want to look into why that might bother you. There's something there. I'm not here to upset anybody. I'm not here to incite anybody or piss anybody off, but I do believe that each and every one of us need to start to do this work within ourselves, discover these answers within ourselves, and start to operate from a place of clarity. That is the sort of also that Lord of Wands is that spiritual sort of fire and clarity, action, defining these things, where we stand in them, not getting emotionally connected or incited by them, but understanding where we stand, finding gratitude, and then living from that place, from that clarity. I hope that makes sense, guys. That is your forecast for the day. Sorry if I ran a little bit long. I look forward to seeing where these cards are going to take us this month. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys, understand where I'm coming from and that I'm not offending to anybody, but I just think some of these things need to be addressed, especially if you're here looking for spiritual insight. Some of these things are very anti-spiritual, that are not anti, but the antithesis, but they're teaching us how to be better people. All right, thank you. I love you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.